Hey, what's up? This is Arasaka here. There's nothing like some material consumption to help us forget all about last year, and best believe this holiday season I've been doing exactly that. And I don't want to brag, but I feel like although we've made some pretty bad decisions in the past, this time I've in general picked up, I think, some things that I quite like and things that will really improve my wardrobe, I think, in a tangible way. And of course, of benefit to you guys, it means we get to check out some new stuff, some new brands that we've not really looked at properly on the channel before, as well as some expansions on some old favorites. I've said before, in my opinion, the best way to navigate these kinds of sale seasons is to have things in your mind beforehand that you might be interested in, that you may want to purchase should they drop in price to a particular level, rather than going through everything in a bit of a mad panic and end up impulse buying things that maybe in retrospect wasn't the best idea. I think all the pickups in this video are fairly representative of that behaviour. I don't think there's any crazy left field things going on here, and there's not really anything that I've bought that I've then immediately massively regretted. But there's a good way to organise this kind of shopping habit, and it is ShopTagger, who are very kindly the paid sponsors of this video. So let's check out exactly how that works. You can install ShopTagger through a Google Chrome browser extension, which you can download on their official add-on type place, which is super easy. Obviously, you guys know how to use a computer. And once that's done, you'll have yourself the ShopTagger button, which will slide into the corner of your screen like Gucci sliding into the North Face's DMs when you're on a supported retailer. You can use that to save any product of your choosing, along with its size and its color and a discount threshold, so you can be notified via email or push notification if you have the app if it drops in price or if it comes back into stock. It also allows for some organization potential because you can save things to customized lists. Favorite sneakers, winter appropriate gear, things that are going to make me look like an absolute snack. The choice is yours. Also, on the desktop version, ShopTagger can scan for coupons, so you can always make sure that you're getting the best price on this stuff. You can also get cash back on some retailers in the form of a balance, which you can then withdraw to a PayPal account. So that's well worth doing if you're on a website that you're going to buy from anyway. Free cash back. You guys know how cashback works. If you want to give that a go, there's going to be a link in the description, so you can give that a download, check it out, see if it works for you, and you can always use the app and the desktop version side by side for that maximum ShopTagger browsing experience. Now let's check out some of this stuff because I'm super excited to go through some of these things, and first of all, I'm going to hit you with the purple dipping Nemen guard jacket. You've probably seen this show up in a few bits before, but here it is in a little bit more detail. I've had my eye on Nemen for absolutely years, but just never quite picked anything up, so I thought now was definitely the time to change that, particularly with this purple dipping jacket. I really liked the look of this when this first came out at the start of the year, although the €1,100 price tag or thereabouts is certainly quite a lot, particularly when I didn't really feel like there were that many examples of people wearing Nemen stuff out in the wild. I'd never really kind of seen it or anything in person either. It just didn't feel like there was that much info to go on. But my interest in Nemen was massively renewed a couple of months ago when I read an article that was interviewing Peter Dahlgren, who's the kind of head of communications for the brand. The thing that really struck me was how deceptively small this brand is. There are only 4 full-time employees and 3 of them are from the same family. Furthermore, all of their jackets they only make a maximum of 50 units of because of the very complex and involved dyeing process. And that felt really cool to me, the idea of owning something that is very much handcrafted and done so in very small quantities and by this kind of Italian family-owned brand. And probably a week after seeing that article, in extremely fortuitous timing, German retailer Acrobic had a massive sale on some of these jackets, bringing the purple one down to something like €350, which is a massive 68% off. And in hand, this jacket's main standout feature of the purple gradient definitely does not disappoint. There is a real complexity here, and it's clear that a finish like this you just wouldn't get unless this was garment dyed. It's a remarkably different look to anything else that I own. The material has a slightly papery feel to it, but honestly is more substantial than I expected it to be. It doesn't really feel fragile in any way, which is certainly a good sign. The wide boxy fit is a very fashion orientated and kind of retro cut it feels relative to a lot of performance outerwear that you would usually see, and Nemen's Italian brothers, Stone Island and CP Company, which often do have these slimmer, more tailored cuts. Although this is missing a hood, which limits its utility somewhat, it does have a couple of fun features. You've got an internal jacket sling on this, which of course is something much more reminiscent of a techwear product than your average piece of outerwear, and still most jackets do not come with this sort of thing. And you've also got this really cool chest pocket which uses this zip to expand its carrying capacity massively, but then still being able to fold down and look very flat when there's nothing in it. I thought that was a really cool design, and I've got to say, super happy with this pickup overall. I think it's probably one of the best things that I've bought this year. It has that really unique quality to it, especially after finding out the limited quantities that all of these things are made in. It just looks super cool, it's very eye-catching, head-turning, but still has a little bit of fun functionality in there too. Honestly, this has really increased my estimations of the brand, and I would be pretty interested in picking up something further from them, particularly as some of their FWCs and things have a couple of real bangers in there. Next big discounted item was a pair of 11 by BBS and Salomon Bamba 5 sneakers from a Singapore retailer called Supply & Co. These were retailed at $500 all the way down to $150, making these 70% off. Now you might be thinking, hey, haven't we seen these shoes before? Yes, but actually no, because earlier this year I bought the 11 by BBS Bamba 5s in light grey, and these ones are described as white light grey. So no, they're not the same. Okay, they are kind of the same. I would have preferred a different model of BBS shoes, honestly, but it's just so rare to find anything come up in a US 12 that to see this at such a large discount, I just couldn't say no, because I know that I'm going to like them. I really like the Bamba 5s I've already got, so I'm going to wear them at least a little bit. If you want to know a bit more on these, I did a full review on them a couple of months back, so I'll leave that somewhere in the description. I did get stung a little bit with postage and customs and things like that. I think that ended up adding on like another $100 or something like that, but that still made these half price, which I'm pretty happy with still. Those things were both from Black Friday, but best believe I was up on Christmas morning browsing the sales, and I picked up a couple of things on Essence which I'd had in the back of my mind for some time. The first of these is this Issey Miyake Homme Plisse zip-up track jacket thing. I've been a fan of the Homme Plisse diffusion line for quite some time. I really like how they're using this single kind of interesting detail to give a whole like sub-brand almost this really cohesive identity in a way that doesn't really involve branding at all. It's more this cool signature detail. The pants are by far the most popular, so I kind of wanted to avoid that and pick something that was a little bit different. And yeah, I think this really fits the bill for me. It's going to be super wearable. Obviously, it's pretty kind of plain, but still has that really cool pleated detailing. I just think this is going to be super nice for casual all-day wear. And it being a zip-up jacket, it's got kind of multi-season usability too. This was something like £100 off, bringing it down to around £230, which I think is a decent saving considering this is a relatively popular product line at the moment, and it's an extremely wearable piece. You know, there's nothing too wacky or crazy about it. This is a size 3, which fits similarly to a lot of my size medium stuff. I didn't want something like this to be kind of oversized and baggy in any way, but obviously you don't want it being really tight either, so always best to check the measurements on stuff like this, but yeah, that's my kind of sizing that I went for. But I think this looks great with a very classic, very effortless look that's going to make it really, really easy to style, but still with its own distinct personality, and it's got that very clear defining element. So people can easily recognize this as Issey Miyake Homme Plisse without it having to rely on branding at all. It feels a little bit luxurious too, thanks to that pleated detailing, and some of the paneling and the kind of tailoring in here is quite interesting and a bit different. This kind of feels a bit like something like Rick Owens' Dark Shadow to me, in that it's a little bit of a bridging point between kind of regular fashion and the more high fashion avant-garde type stuff. Particularly with sale pricing, which of course brings this far below any regular Issey Miyake clothing. But at the same time, this appeals to me on a technical basis in that this material is designed to be very lightweight, very breathable, and nice and easy to pack up and fold away too. So it's got lots of utility in that respect as well. But this has definitely made me more keen on the Homme Plisse line. I'd definitely be interested in picking up more stuff from this brand, maybe like one of the t-shirts or something, because I do think that these things interact really nicely together, what with those matching textures, and yeah, I could definitely see myself getting a fair amount of use of that. But that said, I still like some of their really crazy options where they've got all these colour block details, all these crazy prints all over the whole garment, and really then the pleating becomes secondary to those very obvious sort of crazy colours that they've got going on. And that kind of stuff is often the quickest to hit the sales as well. My other Essence pickup was this, a cold wool hoodie. I got this primarily for wearing around the house, to be honest, on that working from home flex. That's partly due to this real thick 350 150 GSM fabric weight here, so this is going to be super nice and cozy for the rest of winter. This is actually the top half of a tracksuit. I did want the full thing, but they didn't have the pants in my size, so I just went for this in a size medium, which has got a nice, slightly relaxed, kind of oversized fit, which is going to be perfect for lounging around the house all day. There are some nice details on this as well. The high quality minimalist hoodie space I think is becoming increasingly saturated, so it's nice that there's a couple of things that help differentiate this. You've got this nice asymmetrical stitching on the front here, and then you've got this ribbed paneling on the front as well, and you'll see that mirrored on the arms also. It's a bit of a nod to the rest of A Cold Wall's clothing, which very much plays on those asymmetrical detailings and mixing of materials and colours and things like that, but this being a very kind of loungewear focused, very comfy product, it's a much more kind of rounded off and less geometric and less harsh interpretation of that. A couple of bits of branding on here, but they are quite subtle. You've got a teeny tiny little A Cold Wall logo on the top of the hood, so you're not really going to see that a lot of the time. And you've also, on the pocket down here, you've got this really cool like proper badge that's using a couple of different materials here, which really feels like a bit of a premium, bit of a luxury touch on this thing, and it definitely does help elevate it. You've got these really nice thick rubber draw cords on here as well, combined with the little metal eyelets. Yeah, there's a lot of nice subtle details on here that just kind of make it feel nice and premium. I do kind of wish I had the matching pants. It would be great to go maximum cozy in this stuff. I'm just not sure if I would want to pay retail for the pants after getting this for something like half price. I think it was about 180 in total, because at retail this is competing with a lot of different minimal, comfy, high quality basics brands, many of which would come in at a cheaper price than this. And there's one final thing, which is in the back over here. It's the Veilance Conduit LT jacket in this colour they call Mortar. I picked this up from a place called The Last Hunt, which is a Canadian retailer, around Black Friday now, because they had some pretty nice discounts on Veilance stuff. Unfortunately though, they wouldn't ship to the UK, so massive shout out to the Reigning Chump on Instagram, who was able to forward this on for me, so I was able to get it anyway. So this was something like $270 in the Black Friday sale relative to the $550 retail price, so it's about 50% off, which is pretty good. I did get hit with some pretty high postage and customs charges, unfortunately, so although I probably could have got this at a similar price from an EU retailer, some of which did have Veilance sales but not to the same level as The Last Hunt, I'm still not too mad about it because of the colour choice that I've got here. This is actually from quite a few seasons ago, so nowhere else really has this, and it's the Mortar colour that I particularly like in this jacket. It goes great with black, it fits that techwear approved colour scheme, and it's just that nice blend of being kind of utilitarian while still having a little bit of a modern edge. It certainly doesn't look too hikery, but it's just a bit more interesting than black or grey. For this kind of jacket, I think it's nice enough looking overall, with the notable feature being the paneling detailing that I think gives this a bit of a slimming effect over your average puffer jacket that tends to make you look a little bit like the Michelin Man. But I have to be honest, I don't think this is Veilance's coolest looking jacket by itself. I just don't really associate this style of jacket with a fashion product, and I think having this puffer style design, it kind of loses that usual sleekness and sharpness of many of the Veilance product line. But what I was really interested in is this thing's capacity as a mid-layer. First off, great warmth to weight ratio, which means that yes, this has some down fill in here, but it's a relatively light amount, which means that even though this gives you a nice little bit of insulation, it is still extremely light. That makes it a pleasure to wear under a shell. I've already worn this a couple of times on some very cold walks with a couple of layers underneath it and a shell jacket on top as well, and I just don't feel like it's weighing me down at all. It's really quite easy to move around in. The high collar and the stretchy cuffs make this feel really comfy to wear too. From an aesthetic perspective though, I think this will do well because, as I say, I plan on wearing this mostly as a mid-layer. I think it's going to look really nice just poking out from underneath a shell of some kind, where you can really get a little bit of that nice colour coming out there, as well as the little puffer design making a nice textural change. In some ways, it's a bit of an upgrade to the Arc'teryx Atom LT, which I've had for a fairly long time now, and fulfills a similar purpose to this. I got this in a size large, which is one up from my regular size, and I think this fits perfectly, so that would be my recommendation, but it's always best to check the measurements on this stuff, just to make sure. If you are only going to have one Veilance jacket, I wouldn't necessarily say this is the one to go for, but as part of the Veilance ecosystem, and as part of a utilitarian tool, I think this will bring some real value, certainly to my wardrobe, and I can see myself getting a lot of use out of this, as I have the Atom LT, which over the past few years I've just worn absolutely loads. So expect to see this poking out underneath a couple of jackets for all of these nice winter fit pics, because you know if you see this, I'm going to be feeling real toasty. And that concludes my sale season pickups. As I said at the start of this video, I feel like everything here I'm going to get a decent amount of wear out of. I don't think there's anything where it's been some wacky impulse purchase that I just picked up because it was cheap and now I'm just going to chuck it away or whatever. I think going through that thought process of only looking for certain things that you know you want in the sale is definitely the way to go, certainly from a non-regretting purchases perspective. Let me know which of the 5 was your favourite down there in the comments, or if you've picked up something particularly cool over the last couple of months, whether that be Black Friday or holiday season sales or whatever. Yeah, definitely share your deals and steals down there in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like because it is super appreciated. And as always, we will be back next week with another video. Shout out to the Short Meadow, very fortuitous timing on that one. And for the time being, we are going to keep doing with that 1 video per week thing. So, you know, there's always going to be some new content around the corner. And shout out to GhostTown3298 for correctly knowing, yes, the keyring that I had in the last video was a Max Cape from old school RuneScape. It's not really a game that I've played that much of, but it definitely has a special place in my heart, and I think it's quite an interesting MMO for sure. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more, there's going to be links going up at the top to some previous videos that you might like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then there's going to be a button to do that as well. There's going to be new videos every single week, so you can be the first one to see them. You can get all the cool comments that get all the likes. And yeah, what more could you want in life? Nothing.